Hi, Stephen from Own or Disown. Well, I've reached 50,000 subscribers, and that's a milestone I never thought I would reach. 4 years ago. It seemed so far away. So thank you very much for your support. So what I'd like to do is do a giveaway. Now, this is a Lenovo backpack. It's made out of 100% recycled materials. It's brand new. There's the tag on it. So what I want to do, somebody, perhaps the older subscribers or people who've been with me the longest, I must say, I used to do a giveaway where I do find the geek. So basically the geek up here, I will embed somewhere in this video, make it fairly hard to find. And if you can put in, I'll put my email in the description below, email me the time frame it is in, and I'll randomly pick a winner and put that in my community tab, the winner. So good luck. And in today's video, I'm reviewing the Lenovo Legion 5 with the AMD 6-core 4600H CPU and the GTX 1650Ti graphics. I bought this unit from Walmart for $779, and it comes with a 256GB SSD, a 1TB mechanical drive, 8GB of RAM running single channel, a 120Hz 1080p IPS display, Wi-Fi 6 and a 60Wh battery. On the Lenovo website, you can configure the Legion 5 to your liking with up to a Ryzen 7 4800H, 16GB of RAM, 1TB SSD, an 80Wh battery, and a 300-nit 144Hz panel. The graphics still maxes out with a 1650 Ti in the United States, but this may vary depending on your region. It replaces the Legion Wi-Fi 40 and is also available with higher GPU options if you opt for an Intel CPU, known as the Legion 5i. Now I have the RTX 2060 model of that to review, so make sure you subscribe to catch that and the Legion 7i videos. Comparing the new design against the previous Wi-Fi 40, now granted this is the 17-inch, but the 15-inch was basically the same. The Legion logo has been swapped to the other side. Of course, you still have that badge, but more importantly, the Wi-Fi 40 had a ridged pattern to it, which I always found got more grubby, and I much prefer the clean look we have on the new Legion 5. So I like the lid as well. Perfect for a business situation. It doesn't scream gamer. It's easy to keep clean. It looks very professional, particularly with the Lenovo badge here and the Legion logo here. Now, of course, this doesn't light up on the Legion 5, but it does, of course, on the 7i. And you have a very nice solid hinge. I do like that. And at the back, you do have, markings where, the HDMI and the USB ports are. Now, they don't light up, unfortunately, unlike the Legion 7. Now, one thing I do like is a little notch here where the webcam is. It allows you to open up it easily with one hand, and it's very nicely balanced. And when you're inside, I like the keyboard deck as well. It's very clean looking. It's a soft rubber type material which doesn't show any smudges or any marks, compared to the Alienware models I've seen before, where they were always hard to keep clean. The Windows Precision touchpad is good as well. It's one piece, so no separate mouse buttons, but it worked well for me. Now the keyboard, of course, Lenovo makes some of the best keyboards out there. It's a True Strike keyboard, soft landing switches, big keycaps. I like that with spacing between them, so it's amazing. They've done a very good job because you still also have a separate number pad as well. And for those who use the arrow keys a lot, you've got big arrow keys there. That's very nice. Now, key lighting. You've got two options. You've got, like on my model of the Legion 5, it's just white, as is my model on the 5i, just white only. But you can, with the higher end models, configure it with 4-zone RGB. And I like also that you've got a separate power button, not blended into the rest of the keyboard, it's separate, but there's no fingerprint reader or Windows Hello. So on the left hand side, we have a USB Type A and a combo headphone mic jack. So as with the Wi-Fi 40, all the video out ports and the power port are connected at the back, as well as the Ethernet jack. Now the only difference, the Wi-Fi 40 had a separate display port, but here it's actually included in the USB-C port. So on the right hand side, we have a USB Type A port, making it 4 in total, which is great. You have the Nova hole and the power indicator light. I wanted to point out the great strides that Lenovo have done in reducing the size of the power brick. Now here's the 170 watt brick from my Legion 5 AMD powering the 1650 Ti. Now In the middle here is the 230 watt brick from the original Wi-Fi 40, and here's a 230 watt brick from the Legion 5i with the 2060. Huge difference, much more portable. And its weight, 5 pounds 4 ounces, and with the 170 watt power brick, 6 pounds 5 ounces. Here I compare the panel on my Legion 5 on the left and the Intel Legion 5i on the right that uses the 144Hz panel. They are both made by BOE, and without a doubt the 144Hz panel is the best, and if possible I would configure your unit with it. Videos are much sharper and the colours are more vivid. The 120Hz has a 61% of sRGB and 45% of Adobe RGB compared to 95% and 72% respectively on the 144Hz panel. Also, there is a big difference in brightness, with the 120Hz being 254 nits at 100% and the 144Hz at 363 nits. Lenovo seems to like using panels whose brightness tapers off drastically, and both of these panels do exactly that. It's just that the 120Hz panel is worse. In this chart, the 120Hz panel is in red, the Nitro 5 with its 60Hz panel is in blue, and the 144Hz Legion 5i is in green. So at 75% brightness, the 144Hz panel is at 123 nits versus only 84 on the 120Hz panel, and this makes it harder to see under bright light, so you will be forced to use max brightness. Although I wouldn't recommend the 120Hz panel for content creation, it is good for gaming, and I enjoyed playing on it. It doesn't cope as well with ghosting as a 144Hz panel, but it's still preferable over a 60Hz panel. Unfortunately, the 120Hz screen was not FreeSync compatible, and I could not get it to work even using custom resolution utility. Now looking at the backlight bleed on both, they're both pretty decent to be fair. So finally, Lenovo have moved the webcam up the top, and they include a privacy shutter. So the 720p webcam, much better than before. Last time, of course, it was down at the bottom, giving you a good shot of your nose. Now, of course, one good thing here is, the fan noise is so low that it's not going to interfere with your call. And I think the video quality is good, and the microphone quality is also very good. Thumbs up. So here we have the Legion 5 with the AMD CPU, and here we have the Legion 5i Intel CPU. Exact same chassis, so you can see the air intakes here. Similar in a way to the Wi-Fi 40, although that was more bulbous. It did stand out a little bit more, so I do prefer this. It's flatter. So inside is exactly the same cooling system. Now the 5i has the RTX 2060, and that is in performance mode. I've been testing, it's about 85 to 90 watts. So that's good. This system can cool okay there. And of course, this my AMD system has the 1650 Ti and the 4600. So what you'll notice, they've got the same battery here, 3-cell and 60 watt-hour battery. Good for about 5 to 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours on the AMD system, about 5 hours here on the Intel system. Now, of course, I've got a hard drive in the AMD system, whilst the Intel system shipped with a caddy and this SATA connector. If you get the 80 watt-hour battery model, you will forego the 2.5-inch drive and have two M.2 drives, which is still plenty of storage. Legion uses Dolby Atmos for its audio. You can choose various presets, but I prefer the dynamic, which detects what you're listening to and adjusts accordingly. And for those that work with music, I am pleased to confirm it passed my latency test. Although the speakers are not super loud, I thought they sounded pretty good, and since the fan noise is so low, they are more than okay to use while gaming. And this low fan noise is a big selling point. 41 decibels under full load, even using their performance power profile, is amazing. And one would even think that there's no way you can actually cool this system with such low fans. Well, this chassis was cool. The keyboard and underneath was fine, and it still did a good job blowing out the hot air. You use the Lenovo Vantage software to choose one of 3 power profiles and switch between hybrid mode and dedicated GPU mode, which requires a reboot. This is useful if you want to use fast sync, for example, but expect battery life to be closer to 3 hours. It is also a central hub for updates or changing battery settings like rapid charge and conservation mode to limit the max charge percentage and thus increase its lifespan. You will have noticed that my unit came with single channel memory, so I added another stick, and here's Far Cry 5 showing the difference between the two. Although I did see a slight increase in average frame rate, having that second stick, it certainly did help with minimums, so I advise doing this, and I use dual channel for all of my testing. I also used the performance mode because, as you will see, the Legion 5 ran very cool. Here is Battlefield 5 using DX11 Ultra settings. In the overlay at the bottom I show the CPU temperature, which is about 65 degrees, the CPU power, which in this game is about 27 watts, and then the power of this GTX 1650Ti, which is 50 watts. And after so many years of seeing Intel chips pulling at least 45 watts to try and hold its boost clock, I am so impressed with the 4600H in this Legion 5. It holds a steady 4 GHz and the GPU is being nicely utilised. And remember, this is with fans at 41 decibels or just 6 decibels over the idle fan noise. I compare the frame rate against the GTX 1650 in the Aorus 5 and we see on average a 4% gain with the 1650 Ti. Now that's not a lot when you consider that that option is an extra $50. The 4600H does get a bit hotter in Far Cry New Dawn at 74 degrees, but it's still a far cry from 100 degrees I saw in the Dell G5 Special Edition. This is at ultra settings and I am getting around 60 FPS. This time I compare it against the Helios 300 with the RTX 2060 in case you want to opt for an Intel model with a faster GPU. The 80-watt 2060 is about 40% faster than the 1650 Ti, and this extra performance does help if you go for the faster refresh rate display. In PUBG Ultra settings, the 4600H only needs 15 watts to hold a 4 GHz boost clock. It is no wonder that Intel doesn't want their CPUs compared to the new Ryzen ones. This time I compare the Legion 5 against the Acer Nitro 5 with the same CPU but the GTX 1650. And again we see a 4% gain in frame rate, so my advice is to prioritise funds towards the 144Hz panel and go with the GTX 1650 card. Now although I was impressed with the thermals and the low power requirements in gaming, what blew me away was how good this 4600H was in CPU work. In Blender, it was 9% quicker than the same CPU in the Nitro 5 and 19% faster than the i7-10750H from Intel. In Cinebench R20, it scored over 3,300 points, which is amazing, especially when that is what my 8-core i9-9880H gets without an undervolt. It is 14% ahead of the i7-10750H and even 17% ahead of the same CPU in the Nitro 5. Even in a long-running handbraking code where the CPU can get really hot and throttle, the 4600H was at 80 degrees pulling 49 watts. In comparison, the i7-10750H was at 87 degrees doing the same test, but is some 19% slower. I truly believe that the only reason to get an Intel CPU at the moment is if you want a faster GPU than the 2060, and I do think it is criminal that we are not seeing these faster GPUs with AMD systems. So how would I sum up the Legion 5? Well, I think for $779 this is a great laptop. Even the 8-core 4800H model is only $880 over at Walmart. The GTX 1650 or 1660 Ti is generally good for 60 FPS at ultra settings in AAA games, and in less demanding games you can get over 120 FPS using medium to high settings. The system runs very cool and very quiet. It looks great and can fit into most use case situations, and it has reasonable battery life, especially if you go for the 80 watt-hour model. With two M.2 slots and a 2.5-inch drive, it has plenty of storage space for your games and video files. Now the only letdown for me was the 120Hz panel. I'd want to make use of that great CPU doing my video editing, and I would also probably opt for the 144Hz panel. But at least Lenovo gives you the option. Now thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to watch the reviews on the Intel Legion 5i and 7i. Bye now.